360 Deploy 2.5, and I wanted to give you guys a quick tour about the new features we've added. So starting off, you'll notice we've got a new configurations list layout. This lets you better manage your configurations. Say you're deploying to multiple servers and you need like a different license key for each server because you've got a different set of files. You'll be able to store different configurations now all within the same 360 deploy file, so you can better manage those. If you want to add a configuration, you can just click this button here and you're taken to the new configuration record where you can set everything up. The other thing, and yeah, there's my new empty configuration. We've implemented a more granular way to control your deployments. Say you have your dev server and your production servers set up, but you don't want to do a full deployment. You don't want to redeploy every file. Say you've only made a single change in one of the files. Now on the deploy screen, you can come into this gear icon and actually toggle these files on and off for deployment. And you'll see the status update here. And as you can see, I've got no files marked for deployment for this server, so we're not deploying anything to here. And after, based on what you've specified here, this will dictate exactly what 360 Deploy deploys. So if we run a deployment, you'll see that we are only going to deploy to a single server, and we're only going to deploy the single file that's marked for deployment. We've just deployed the one file that we marked for deployment. Additionally, we have made the deployment process server-side compatible. Now, there is a little bit of setup involved here, and so I wanted to kind of walk you guys through our recommended approach to that. If you open up your scripts workspace, the script that handles the entire deployment is right here, upload files and start migrations, and it takes a parameter of a configuration ID. So what you want to do is basically you could call this script directly and pass in a parameter inside of a server-side schedule, or you could write your own wrapper script, which we've already done here for you, where you basically you store the configuration ID in this parameter, and it already gets passed in to the upload files and start migration script. So this will be just a little bit more user-friendly when you're setting up your schedules in FileMaker Server. You can get the configuration ID if you go to the settings panel and you look at the field down here. This will be the ID for this configuration. So you'll just want to copy that, come into this script, and modify this variable here. With that done, let's open up our FileMaker admin console. Come into configurations, script schedules. As you can see, I've already got this set up, but well, let's make this from scratch. So I'll delete that. We'll create a new schedule. It's a FileMaker script. I'm going to call this 360 store deployment. I'm going to target my 360 deploy file. Username and password is 360Deploy if you haven't changed that already. And the script is going to be that wrapper script I wrote, PSOS 360 store deployment. And you might want to turn off the timeout here or set it to something pretty high. If the deployment runs into a really long backup process, sometimes backups take a while, so you want to give yourself some leeway here. and I don't really want this to repeat. In fact, I don't even really want it enabled. But you could schedule this, at some date and time that you wanted. If you wanted to say deploy this at like 2 a.m. on a Sunday. So once that's saved, why don't we go ahead and run this. Another thing I should probably point out is we are going to be making use of the 360Deploy plugin server side. So install it manually, or make sure that you've enabled the install plugin file script step, because the 360Deploy file will handle that for you. It'll automatically install the plugin, or you can install it manually. So that's still running, and I think normally you wouldn't do this, because if it's at 2 a.m. and you're running it server side, you're not really going to be monitoring it. But if you do want to take a look, check out the server status layout, and it's not very well formatted. We're showing all servers in the configuration, but you can see the server is actually actively updating this record, because this is the server we're deploying to right now, and this is all running server side. And there we go. So that was a server side deployment. Going back, another sort of minor feature that it wound up adding some time to the deployment, but it made things a lot more stable. And I'll give you an example right here. I'm going to just turn on deployment to this server, and I had a lot of trouble with this server. For some reason, the FMS admin command line tool was taking a really long time to respond, and it was really throwing a wrench in the works for our deployments. And that's not it's not totally uncommon. I've seen it happen with my computer before. Sometimes a reboot fixes it, but you don't always have the opportunity to reboot. So what we did was we've implemented a good bit of retry logic, so that if a specific FMS admin command fails, we will reattempt it up to 3 times. This does make for a longer deployment in some cases, but it's better to take another minute than to fail when you should otherwise, it should otherwise be a successful deployment. So I'm probably going to speed this up, because this one might take a minute, and you'll see the first server here, localhost, finishes about a minute or two before the problematic server. Okay, there we go. So yeah, it was the first server finished fairly quickly, but it took a lot longer for the second server, and that was due to the FileMaker server just not responding immediately, or not responding at all, and us having to retry several times to get these requests through. And I think that stability will be really beneficial, even if we're adding time to our deployment. A couple minutes at 2 a.m. on a Sunday is way better than waking up, Monday morning and having to deal with a mess when everyone's trying to log into the server. So that's about it. There's been a number of other little bug fixes, but nothing that I want to bore you with right now. Hope you guys like it. This is a free upgrade for people who own 360Deploy 2 at this point, and so we'll keep working on it. And yeah, thanks. Bye.